Americans have had tough questions for the mega fast food company.
I think it's disgusting.
Does McDonald's even sell real food?
Patties are 100% beef. The recipe, they say, is nothing more than a blend of leaner beef trim and fattier trim.
You walk into McDonald's, order a burger, and eat it without having a second thought. Millions do the same every day. But have you ever stopped and asked what that meat has been through before it reaches your tray? There's so much that goes into the process of making these delicacies that might not be acceptable to consumers like you. Once you understand how that meat is made, handled, and turned into something normal, you will not look at a McDonald's burger the same way again. But before we lift that bun, what if the journey of this meat is far stranger than you imagine today? The patty? A McDonald's hamburger patty looks simple on the bun. Many people expect a single cut of meat like a steak, but the reality is different. The patty is a made product. It is formed from many pieces of beef that come from different places on an animal and from many animals across a day at the plant. Meat workers remove trims when they cut the steaks and roast them. Those trims are not considered waste. The small pieces are collected, chilled, and moved to processing sites. Some of the cuts that go into ground mixes include chuck from the shoulder, round from the rear leg, and sirloin from the back. Each cut brings a different taste and a different fat level. Plants mix these parts so the final patty has a set amount of fat. That mix helps the burger cook the same way in any store. Why does fat matter? Fat melts during cooking and keeps the burger moist. If the fat is too low, the patty can turn dry. If the fat is too high, the patty can become greasy and shrink a lot on the grill. Fast food chains choose a target fat range so the patty cooks reliably and tastes similar across many locations. After the trims arrive, the plant grinds the meat. Grinding breaks larger pieces into small bits that machines can press. The grinder size affects the bite and the mouthfeel. A fine grind gives a smoother texture. A coarser grind gives a chewier feel.
Fillers, no extenders to make their hamburger patties with.
Mixers then combine trimmings from different loads to reach the target fat and texture. This mixing can mean one patty contains meat from several trucks or several animals. Forming machines shape the ground mix into the round discs you recognize. These presses set the weight and the thickness so each patty fits the chain cooking time. Many of the formed patties go straight into a blast freezer. Quick freezing locks the shape and slows bacterial growth. Frozen patties are easier to store and ship. The freezer changes texture, but it keeps the product consistent for cooks in restaurants. Labs at the plant check batches before shipping. Technicians test for common bacterial markers and for fat percentage. If a batch does not meet the plant rules, it is held back. The plant may clean the line, reprocess the batch, or discard the load. Quality control steps reduce risk for customers and for the restaurants that serve the burgers. Packaging is not random. Each box bears a batch code and a packing date. That code links the box to the raw material and to the production run. Trace marks are how a plant can tell where a box came from if a problem shows up. Pallets are sealed and moved in refrigerated trucks to distribution centers, and then to restaurants that need a reliable supply of patties. Who makes the patties matters. Big names in the meat business include OSI Group, JBS, Tyson, Cargill, and National Beef. Some of these firms process cattle at scale and sell trimmings to patty makers. Other firms form patties for specific restaurant chains. When a plant serves one chain, it may shape the process to meet the buyer's needs. When a plant serves many buyers, it must split runs and meet multiple rules. The label 100% beef means no fillers or added meat substitutes. It does not mean the patty is a single uncut steak. The product is beef only, but it is a blended product created to meet cooking and cost goals. That reality can change how a person feels when they bite into a fast food burger. Plants control temperature from arrival to freezing. Cold rooms keep meat near 4 degrees Celsius or lower to slow bacteria. Drivers use temperature logs during transport, so buyers can confirm the cold chain stayed intact. Knowing this, some people still feel uneasy when they think of trimmings from several animals mixed together. But if the meat is already blended, chilled, and standardized, what happens next when machines, not humans, take full control? The machines that make it. When you bite into a McDonald's burger, the meat feels familiar to your taste buds. They are always soft and even, almost too perfect. That is not an accident. It is the result of a tightly controlled system built to remove anything natural from the process. Here is the uncomfortable truth. McDonald's meat does not come out like normal beef because it is not treated like normal beef. It starts in massive meat processing plants, far away from restaurants. These facilities handle thousands of cattle every single day. Once animals are slaughtered, large cuts of beef are separated and moved immediately into industrial systems. From this point forward, human judgment mostly disappears. The first major step is grinding. Industrial grinders tear beef apart at high speed. Muscle and fat lose all original structure. Nothing stays intact. This is important because the whole muscle creates variation. Variation is the enemy of fast food. Machines reduce everything into small uniform particles so nothing stands out later. After grinding, the meat drops into huge rotating mixers. These mixers do not stop until everything looks identical. Fat must spread evenly, moisture must be distributed evenly, color must match. If one section looks darker or drier, the mixer keeps turning. At home, uneven meat is normal, while in factories, it is deemed a defect. Temperature control during mixing is strict. Rooms stay cold to slow bacteria growth and keep the texture stable. Sensors track air temperature, meat temperature, and humidity constantly.
The first food safety and quality checks include checking the surface of the meat and monitoring temperature.
If numbers move outside a narrow range, machines pause the process automatically. This keeps the meat predictable, not fresh. Once mixed, the meat moves into patty-forming machines. These machines use pressure and metal molds to force the meat into exact shapes. Weight, thickness, and diameter are pre-programmed. D. Every patty must match the template. Sensors check each one. If a patty is slightly off, the machine adjusts pressure instantly. This is where the burger becomes what you recognize. Perfectly round and flat with smooth edges. Real beef does not naturally look like this. Machines make it look this way. Speed matters. One machine can shape hundreds of patties every minute. No human could do this. Patties drop onto conveyor belts already identical. No cracks, no loose edges. Uniformity is the goal, not quality. Next comes freezing. Patties move into blast freezers where extremely cold air circulates fast. This freezes the meat almost instantly. Freezing locks the shape in place and slows bacterial growth. It also changes texture. Ice crystals form inside the meat. When cooked later, those crystals melt and release moisture quickly. That soft, spongy bite has a mechanical cause. Freezing also allows long storage. Patties may remain frozen for weeks or months before reaching a grill. During this time, machines monitor freezer temperatures every second. Backup systems activate automatically if power drops. Maintaining frozen meats matters more than making sure they are fresh and good for consumption.
Patties to come out of the farming machine right at the freezing mark.
After freezing, machines stack patties into neat piles. Machines slide them into boxes. Machines seal the boxes. Machines print tracking codes. Human workers mostly monitor screens and clear mechanical errors. By now, the meat has passed through dozens of machines without a single decision made by taste, smell, or touch. Boxes move to distribution centers filled with enormous freezers. From there, trucks deliver them to restaurants. Inside each McDonald's, freezers hold stacks of frozen patties until needed. Cooking follows the same logic. Workers place frozen patties directly onto flat grills. No thawing happens. The cooking system expects frozen meat. The grill heats both sides at once. A metal lid presses down to keep the thickness even. Timers control heat and duration. When a beep sounds, workers move the meat. They do not care to check if it is properly ready. They just wait for the beep, and that's it. Grease drains away through channels below the grill. Smoke rises, but it smells different from backyard cooking. That smell comes from fat reacting after long freezing and compression. Cooked patties move into warming trays under heat lamps. Timers track how long they sit. When time runs out, they are discarded. Ask yourself this: where does instinct fit? Workers do not taste the meat. They do not adjust seasoning. They do not change the cooking time. Machines have already decided everything. This system produces consistency at a massive scale. It also removes anything resembling natural meat handling. The goal is not good beef. The goal is beef that behaves the same every time. That is why the texture feels off. That is why the bite feels processed. Machines strip away variation, and variation is part of real food. So, the next time you hold that burger, think about the path it took. Grinding blades, mixing drums, press molds, blast freezers, timers, and signals. The meat did not become that way on its own. It is the machines that made it that way. But if machines shaped the burger, what happens when speed and secrecy collide with history that McDonald's never wanted fully exposed? The ugly history. McDonald's likes to sell a clean image. Bright lights, smiling workers, simple food, no worries. That image did not appear by accident. It grew after decades of pressure, scandals, shortcuts, public fear, lawsuits, media reports, angry customers, whistleblowers, factory footage, and government warnings. The meat story behind the counter was never as simple as the menu board makes it look. Go back to the early years. When McDonald's started growing fast in the 1950s and 1960s, speed mattered more than anything. Burgers had to be cheap, fast, and identical. That pushed the company toward massive beef suppliers. Small local butchers could not keep up. Large meatpacking plants stepped in. These plants handled thousands of animals per day. Scale solved one problem while creating many others. As production grew, trimming waste became valuable. Fat scraps, leftover muscle, and pieces once thrown away now had a price. Beef trimmings from many animals were mixed together in huge batches. One sick cow could affect tons of meat. That risk was known early. Industry leaders accepted it because grinding and freezing made meat cheaper. Few customers asked questions back then. Why would they? The burger tasted fine. By the 1980s and 90s, food safety problems became harder to hide. Bacteria like E. coli showed up in ground beef across the country. Children got sick, some died. Even when outbreaks were not directly tied to McDonald's restaurants, suppliers overlapped. The system itself came under fire. People began asking a simple question.
You know what McDonald's is, and most of us have eaten at one, or more than one, on.
Why does one burger contain meat from so many animals? To keep supplies cheap, processors added new steps. One of the most controversial was treated beef trimmings. Fatty scraps got warmed, spun, separated, sprayed with ammonia gas, then mixed back into ground beef. The process killed bacteria, yet many consumers felt uneasy. This product later earned the nickname pink slime. McDonald's used it for years before public pressure forced a change. Another issue was antibiotics. Industrial beef relied on routine substance use to keep crowded cattle alive long enough for slaughter. Over time, doctors warned that this practice helped create resistant bacteria. McDonald's insisted it followed legal standards. Critics replied that legal did not mean safe. Parents asked a blunt question. Should fast food depend on meat raised with constant medication? Then came supplier scandals overseas. In 2014, a major McDonald's meat supplier in China was caught selling expired meat, relabeling products, and lying to inspectors. Video footage spread worldwide. Customers felt betrayed. McDonald's apologized, cut ties, and promised reforms. Even so, the damage stuck. People realized how far removed the brand was from the actual meat handling. Environmental harm added another dark layer. Beef production drives deforestation, heavy water use, and greenhouse gas emissions. McDonald's became one of the world's largest beef buyers. That scale magnified the impact. Environmental groups linked fast food demand to forest loss in South America. The company pledged better sourcing. Critics called it slow, vague, and reactive. The burgers kept selling anyway. Labor conditions inside slaughterhouses rarely appeared in ads. Workers faced long shifts, sharp tools, and high injury rates. Speed quotas pushed safety limits. Immigrant labor filled many roles. Complaints surfaced over the years. These workers handled the meat before it reached the grill. Customers rarely picture that part while biting into a burger. Should they have? Transparency remained a problem. McDonald's did not slaughter animals. It relied on partners. That distance gave legal cover while limiting accountability. When trouble surfaced, blame moved down the chain. The brand stayed clean on paper. The meat story stayed hidden in contracts, factories, transport logs, sealed boxes, and frozen pallets. So here is the real question. When a company grows this large, can cheap meat stay clean, humane, safe, and honest? Or does the system reward shortcuts until exposure forces change? Knowing this history, does that burger still look the same sitting on the tray? Why it still feels wrong? Have you ever held a McDonald's burger, taken one bite, paused, then felt something was off even though you could not explain it right away? The taste feels familiar, the texture feels soft, the smell feels strong, but your body reacts before your brain does. That reaction did not appear by chance. It grew from how the meat is made, handled, processed, stored, shaped, cooked, shipped, reheated, and then served. Let us start with texture. Real ground beef cooked fresh has resistance. It breaks apart unevenly. A fast food patty feels uniform, smooth, and almost sponge-like. That happens because the meat is ground very finely, blended with fat ratios chosen for consistency, then formed by machines that press it into the same shape every time. No muscle grain remains, no variation exists. Your mouth notices that loss even if you never studied food science. Now think about smell. Fresh beef smells mild. A McDonald's patty smells strong once the heat hits it. That smell comes from added fat content plus surface browning designed to trigger appetite. The beef cooks on flat grills that reuse heat all day. Residue builds up. Flavor compounds layer over time. The smell becomes familiar, heavy, and almost sticky in the air. Your brain links that smell to hunger while your body senses overload. What about taste? Salt hits first, fat follows, beef flavor stays in the background. That balance feels wrong because meat should lead the taste. Fast food flips that order. Salt and fat drive satisfaction quickly. The beef itself becomes a carrier. This design keeps costs low while keeping customers hooked. You chew faster, you swallow faster, you reach for fries or soda without thinking. Does that feel like eating or reacting? Temperature plays a role too. Patties are frozen, stored, shipped, thawed, cooked, and then held warm. That cycle changes protein structure. Juices leak out. Texture softens further. Fresh meat is cooked once. This meat travels through stages. Your tongue feels that history, even if you never see it. That muted beef taste tells a quiet story of distance. Then there is the mental side. You know this meat came from many animals mixed together. You know it passed through factories, machines, treatments, and packaging lines. That knowledge sits in the back of your mind. Even without thinking about it, your trust drops. Food feels better when the path feels short. This path feels long. Long paths feel risky. Consider the speed. From order to bite takes minutes. Real cooking takes time. Time allows flavor to develop. Speed removes patience from the process. When food arrives too fast, your brain reads it as artificial. That response comes from instinct. Humans learned over centuries that real meals require effort. Fast food breaks that rule. The body notices. Now think about portion size. One patty feels thin. Two patties still feel light. Your stomach fills late. Satisfaction comes from salt and fat rather than fullness. That gap creates discomfort. You feel fed, yet not nourished. That mismatch leaves a strange after-feeling. Many people describe it as heaviness without warmth. Add memory to the mix. You may remember news stories about meat processing, safety scares, supplier issues, and factory footage. Even if you forgot details, the emotion stayed. Food carries memory. Each bite wakes up stored doubt. That doubt tastes bitter. Ask yourself this: why do burgers eaten at home feel different? Same beef, same pan, same salt. The answer sits in control. You saw the meat, you touched it, you cooked it once. That trust improves flavor. McDonald's removes control. You rely on systems, rules, promises, and logos which do not calm the situation. Finally, look at repetition. Eating one burger feels fine. Eating too much over time feels wrong. The body wants variety. Fast food offers sameness, same texture, Same smell, same taste, same response. Repetition creates fatigue. Fatigue turns into discomfort. So when people say something feels wrong, they are not being dramatic. Their senses speak first. Their bodies speak honestly. The meat delivers speed, sameness, softness, salt, fat, and familiarity. It lacks freshness, variation, texture, and trust. That gap explains the feeling. When the body senses something unhealthy, it reacts. That reaction is the quiet answer sitting inside every bite. So now when you see that burger, you know it is not just fast food, it is a product of a quick process that is not properly looked into. If you found this video helpful, kindly share your thoughts below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and watch the next one. There is more behind everyday food than most people ever stop to question once they slow down and look.